She was born on October 12, 1891, in Breslau, Germany, into a devout Jewish family. Her father died when she was just a toddler, and her mother, a resilient and faithful woman, raised the children alone, balancing her sorrow with a hard-earned strength. Edith was the youngest of 11, a brilliant mind, a restless soul, and from a young age she carried a fire in her heart that no doctrine or tradition seemed able to calm. By the time she was a teenager, she had quietly stepped away from her inherited faith. Not out of rebellion, but because the answers weren't enough. "My thirst for truth is my only prayer," she would later write. That line, raw and aching, wasn't philosophy. It was the language of a soul reaching toward something more. She entered the University of Göttingen and studied under Edmund Husserl, the father of phenomenology. Her dissertation on empathy became more than an academic project. It would later become a prophetic echo of the life she would offer. Among philosophers, she was sharp and brilliant, but something still burned beneath all the theories. A silence, an ache, a whisper. The war came. She paused her studies to serve as a nurse in a military hospital. She bandaged wounds, comforted the dying. She watched human pain up close, and something in her began to change. Later, back in academia, she continued her search for meaning. But it wasn't an argument or a lecture that cracked open her soul. It was a book. One summer evening in 1921, while staying at the home of her philosopher friends, she reached for a book on the shelf almost by accident, the autobiography of Saint Teresa of Avila. She read it through the night. When she closed the final page, dawn was breaking. And so was her old life. She said simply, "This is the truth." And the next morning, she went to town, bought a Catholic catechism and a missal, and began to study on her own. A few days later, she asked a priest to baptize her. He examined her, tested her understanding, and found that she already knew the faith, not with her lips, but with her whole heart. On January 1st, 1922, Edith Stein was baptized. She chose the name Teresa in honor of the saint who had set her soul ablaze. That same year, she was confirmed and began attending daily Mass with the hunger of someone who had long wandered in the desert. Her relationship with her mother was tested deeply. When she told her, kneeling at her feet, her mother said nothing. But tears fell, silent, heavy. It was the first time Edith had ever seen her cry. And though her mother never embraced the change, she never stopped loving her daughter. Once, watching Edith pray, her mother whispered, "I've never seen anyone pray like that." Edith left teaching for a time, choosing a quieter life among Benedictine sisters, translating spiritual classics, and continuing her philosophical work. She was drawn especially to St. Thomas Aquinas, whose clarity of thought helped ground her own. But even amid study and service, something deeper stirred: the quiet call of the cloister. In 1933, as the storm of Nazism swept across Germany, Edith sensed a shadow falling over her people. "I know the cross is coming for my people," she wrote. "I am ready to take it up." That year, she entered the Carmelite convent in Cologne. She took the name Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. Teresa, blessed by the cross. The world of books was behind her now. In front of her stood only silence, prayer, and surrender. The convent was a haven, but not a hiding place. Edith prayed, scrubbed floors, and wrote in the early hours. Her final manuscript, The Science of the Cross, was left unfinished, perhaps because her real participation in the cross was still ahead. As Nazi persecution escalated, The Carmelites quietly moved her to the convent in Echt, Holland, for her safety. There she lived simply, folding herself into the rhythms of community life, continuing to pray and write. One day, a young novice asked her, "Aren't you afraid, sister, of being taken?" Teresa smiled gently and said, "No, my child. I've given myself entirely to God. There is nothing to fear." She knew, and still she stayed. On August 2nd, 1942, the Gestapo arrived. She and her sister Rosa, also a convert, were arrested. Witnesses remember her calm, her peace. "Come, Rosa," she said. "We go for our people." The two were taken first to Westerbork transit camp, then packed onto a train to Auschwitz. There is a widely told account, not officially confirmed by Vatican documents but passed on by contemporaries, that one of the guards at Auschwitz, moved by her serenity, offered to help her escape. She is said to have responded, "If someone were to take away my chance to share in the fate of my people now, that would be a complete annihilation of my life." Whether spoken or simply lived, her refusal to flee speaks volumes. On August 9th, 1942, she and her sister were murdered in the gas chamber. She did not go as a scholar, or a Jew, or a Catholic, or a Carmelite. She went as all of them, whole, fearless, surrendered. Her life is not a footnote in history, but a testimony that faith can burn brighter than any darkness, that love can outlast hatred, that the cross, when embraced, does not destroy, but transforms.